Hey, and welcome back to the Deliberate Exchange. I'm so happy that you are here listening. I've been thinking about resistance a lot. And the more that I work with my clients, the more I continue on in this work, the more that I see it. And it's this idea of like, what if the thing that you're calling resistance isn't actually resistance? What if, in fact, you're not lazy or unmotivated or self-sabotaging? Like, what if you're trying to solve a physiological problem with a motivational solution? Because I hear all the time, I know exactly what I should be doing. I just can't seem to get myself to do it. Like, I get that so hard. I've lived it. Like, you should go work out. You should go for the walk or do the breath work. You know that you should go to bed earlier, put your phone down, have the conversation. Like, you know. And because you know, you start to assume that if you're not doing it, there must be something wrong with you, that you need more discipline or willpower, optimize the routine, get a better planner, better morning, better system. And those things absolutely are part of the puzzle. But I don't actually think that it's the real issue. And so what I've been thinking about and looking at this through the lens of my own life, like when I don't sleep well, everything becomes harder. Like maybe not impossible depending on like how much sleep I didn't get, but certainly harder. The workout feels harder. Eating healthy food feels harder. Doing the dishes feels harder. Writing an email feels harder. Like everything requires more effort. Not suddenly because I'm a different person, but and not because my goals have shifted or ambition disappeared overnight, but my body is simply operating with fewer resources. And so when my clients come to me now, I am in the habit of questioning where their physiological needs are. Because like when your body is operating with fewer resources, like that becomes like a big red flag. And we often underestimate how much of our physiology is actually driving the experience that we're having. Right? Like there's an acronym HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And like when you're experiencing different feelings or having a hard day, you apply that acronym to see like where you're at. Like think about the last time that you were exhausted or stressed or overwhelmed or carrying weeks or years of tension in your body. How many decisions did you make from your highest self that day? Probably not many. And absolutely it isn't because you didn't want to, but because survival is expensive. It takes resources. And I think that we tend to skip over this part. We'll jump to mindset, motivation, we'll jump to fixing. Meanwhile, the body is sitting there waving its hand like, can we get a little attention over here first? Can you deal with me first? Because the body always collects the bill. And I think that's also where procrastination gets really interesting, because I think that we throw that word around without really looking at it closely. Like, I've been procrastinating, somebody will say. Okay, cool. On what? Like, specifically. I don't believe necessarily that procrastination is the problem. It's certainly information. It's trying to tell us something. Like maybe you're procrastinating because you're overwhelmed. Maybe because you don't know the next best step. Maybe because you're exhausted, or you're procrastinating because the thing that you're trying to do feels vulnerable, or because perfectionism has convinced you that if you can't do it perfectly, don't do it at all. And maybe you're procrastinating because you don't actually want to do the fucking thing in the first place. Or maybe, just maybe, and this one I see all the time, you have convinced yourself that you're resisting the task when you're actually resisting the feeling attached to the task. Right? Because the task might have uncertainty or judgment. It attaches the possibility of failure, the possibility of success. That task might have discomfort or exposure. So I have been in the habit of asking myself lately, like, what am I actually resisting? Like, not the task, the feeling. Often, the task that we're avoiding probably takes 10 minutes in a lot of cases. But then it's like the 2 days of negotiating with ourselves before that drains all the energy. And sometimes when I get honest about what I'm resisting, the resistance loses half its power immediately. And that's where the physiology enters the conversation again. When you're exhausted, stressed out, when you haven't been sleeping enough, when you are inflamed, when you are dysregulated, your capacity for discomfort shrinks. The thing that normally feels like a 3 out of 10 suddenly feels like an 8. The emails feel bigger, the workout feels insurmountable, the conversation feels bigger, the decision feels bigger. The task hasn't actually changed. Your capacity has. And that is a really important distinction that I want you to hear. I've noticed this in my own life as well. On the days where I breathe, where I move my body, where I eat enough protein, drink enough water, get enough sleep, get outside, I don't magically become a productivity machine, but I do start arguing with myself so much. Like the internal friction drops, the amount of convincing required lowers, the internal negotiating drops. Things simply feel easier, which is what people miss. We're often trying to create action when what we really need to create is capacity. Capacity to think clearly, to feel our emotions, to make decisions. We want to create the capacity to tolerate discomfort, to stay present, to follow through. Because if you have no capacity, everything feels like resistance, right? 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. Everything. Sending the email, making the dinner, doing the workout, paying the bill, having the conversation, going to bed. It all feels heavy. It feels like way too much. And then we create stories. Right? Mind gets really active. And so it turns into I'm lazy, I'm inconsistent, I don't follow through, I always quit, I'm not disciplined. And none of those things are true. Like maybe you're tired and overwhelmed. Maybe your nervous system has been running a marathon for months, probably years. Maybe you've normalized stress to the point where you don't even realize that you're carrying it anymore. It's just your baseline. And as I said, like one of the questions that I ask my clients all the time now is, what happens when your physiological needs are met? Not your goals, not your Pinterest vision board, not your 5-year plan, but your physiological needs. Your sleep, your hydration, your movement, your breath, your nutrition, your recovery, your connection. What happens when those are prioritized? Because my experience is that a shocking amount of resistance disappears. Of course, not all of it, but a lot of it. And then something else happens. You stop needing to spend so much energy managing yourself. Then you don't mind doing the dishes. You don't mind putting the clothes away. You wash your face, you floss your teeth, you answer the message, you do the workout. Not because you're now some superhuman version of yourself, but because you're no longer fighting your body every single step of the way. The things that once felt impossible to start feel normal. Like they're not exciting. They're not motivational. It's just part of taking care of yourself. Like it ends up becoming neutral. I know that is a big shift in my own life. I spend way less time asking, how do I make myself do this? And way more time asking, what does my body need right now? It's not that I'm avoiding responsibilities or making excuses, but because I've learned that it's a lot easier to build the life that you love when you're not fighting your own basic physiological needs every step of the way. So the question isn't, why can't I get myself to do it? The better question is, what is making it harder than it needs to be? And if the answer is a lack of sleep or chronic stress or disconnection, an exhausted nervous system, a lot of overwhelm, the next step is not more discipline. The next step is support. And support, in my experience, is where momentum begins. And so I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear if this episode has resonated with you, if you're thinking like, yeah, like I need to drink more water, get more sleep, not from a shame capacity, but just like from a really great layer of awareness. So you can comment below, or you can send me a message via email or on socials. I'd love to hear from you. And in the meantime, breathe it in, be deliberate, and please be good to yourself.